Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Steven Inks. We are having the final video in my I Hate This Pen series. Believe it or not, over the 3 years I've been collecting and reviewing fountain pens, there have been very few that I have disliked, and I do have a few other of those videos on this channel besides this series, but I saved the one I hate the most for last, and that is going to be the Rotring Art Pen. So here's the one that nearly broke me very early in my career, or I suppose not career, in my journey, as they say, of a fountain pen collector. I bought this in South Korea when I was living over there, and there was a big import duty markup, I'm sure, as a lot of things that I bought over there from other countries were. So in addition to really not liking this pen, I paid a lot of extra money for it. So you'll see that probably colors my feelings on this pen. Even still, Rotring is a fantastic company that can do way better than this pen. So we're going to look at it, and I'm going to do some art with it, or at least I'm going to try, and I'll tell you what I think about it in the end. Okay, everybody, here's this pen. It is let me do it so you can read it. The Rotring Art Pen. Now this comes in a bunch of different nib flavors, and the taste we are looking at today is the 1.1 stub nib. And full disclosure, I only have one other pen that could be classified as a stub nib, and it's not really a stub nib. I'll get into later. I actually do like that pen, but that's the only pen that's like this, so I don't have a lot of experience with stub nibs. If I get something wrong, let me know, but I'll tell you what's not wrong. I really dislike this pen, and it starts when you hold it. It is so lightweight. I feel like, and I'm fairly certain this is true, that if I were to squeeze this part of the pen, I could absolutely just shatter the body. It's just made of some really cheap plastic. Rotring is a German company, and I'm pretty sure that they outsourced the creation of this one to somewhere else. Although I have reviewed and will continue to review pens that come from countries that you normally accuse of making something this cheap and chintzy, and they don't feel like this. They are usually of much better quality, the ones that I happen across. There's some bad eggs in that one too. But so for the Rotring Art Pen, we've got this body, and looking at it right here, you could tell it's trying to be fancy. You know, it's like that one friend you have that has to be unique for the sake of uniqueness. It's the Rotring Art Pen. I have this long little thing back here, and I look like a brush. Do you get that feeling? Does it look like a brush? I don't know. Does that trick anyone? Is it going to be a brush? It's a pen. It's not a brush. Is that a thing that people like? I don't care enough, but then it does create some problems, really, because I'm going to take this cap off. We're going to look at the inside of it. Everything's plastic except for this little tiny strip of metal right here. And this clip, which might as well be plastic because it's just so chintzy and bendy. I know I could snap this right off if I wanted to. It's really weak. Build quality sucks, which is a shame because Rotring makes some really great pens other than this one. But like I can't, because of the shape, like I'm getting ahead of myself. There's so many things. I can't do anything with this because I can't post this cap, which is a nice way. I like to post my caps, otherwise I'll lose them. And posting the cap can give you the opportunity for a roll stop. This happens to be a perfectly round. Let's see if it rolls. Okay. Doesn't roll. But it would be nicer to have something to go on the end here. And this looks okay like this, but obviously it's not going to stay on there because of the shape of the body. So uniqueness for uniqueness sake. I'm not a fan. I'm going to be careful with this pen because I have not cleaned it since the last time I used it, which was a while ago. I'm curious if there's still ink that's visible inside of this thing. And oh, look, there is a little bit. So this appears to be Doming Sea of Notions, a Three Oysters ink. That looks like that color. So we're going to fill it up with that ink, which is an ink I really like. I have been filling these pens with inks that I do not like, but I ran out of inks at 2. I've had a really great luck with ink colors, and I have a lot that I like. So this, by the way, is, I don't know if you can see the focus. I can't get any light on this. Ah, there we go. This is a Jinhao converter that I pulled from an old pen that didn't need this converter anymore, because this pen came without a converter, despite being a little bit expensive. Now, I did buy this in South Korea when I lived over there, and there were probably a lot of import duties, as that country has a lot of import duties. So this ended up costing me in American dollars around $40, like 42,000 Korean won, something like that. And yeah, compared to pens I've gotten at a quarter of the price, this is a pretty flimsy pen. The build quality is extremely subpar. And then I'm going to talk about how it flows and functions in a little bit. There's a little plastic ring here. See if I take the nib off, will I be able to? Yeah, there goes the nib. There is ink on the underside of this. I'm going to be really careful with it. Or I'm just going to place it right there. Can I pull the feed out? Yes, the feed does come out. It's nothing special. There is a little shape that shows you how to put it back in the right way. I appreciate that when they do that, because sometimes I get my feeds in wrong and it affects the flow. But besides that, man, this is just really chintzy plastic. It feels really cheap. It's super lightweight. Do you hear that? That is the sound of extremely brittle, fragile plastic, the cheap stuff. We'll put it back together. Let's fill it with ink and see what lines we can make with it. All right. So this is the Doming 3 Oysters Sea of Notions ink. That name is a mouthful. I'm not sure that they sell it anymore. It was a special edition. It's a really lovely color of blue, so we will have that going for us today. I'm not really looking forward to using this pen, but I love this ink, and I love any chance I can get to use pretty much all the inks I've bought from 3 Oysters. It's a lovely, lovely company. So let's just scoot this back so you can see the action of the pen. I'm going to place it inside here. And yep, I think it should fill just perfectly fine. But I'm not going to focus too much on getting a complete fill, because to me it's kind of a waste of ink. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this pen. So got a little bit of ink in there. Good to go. I'm going to blot it off and put it back together. Here we go with this pen. Holding it in my hands, it's so light even without the cap. We do have a little bit of nib creep right there. It doesn't usually bother me, but it feels ominous, like a things to come. Well, let's just see what we end up with this pen. So one thing about stub nibs that may or may not be good, depending on if you have a good one, is that you can do a thin line on the side. Okay, yeah, it's skipping a lot on this side swipe. And then a flat line. Ooh, that is wet. And then you should be able to vary your line weight by just keeping the angle of the nib and shifting. So you could get some really interesting lines with this. It is super wet though. I'm going to bring this up to the front here. I don't know if you can see, it's feathering on this paper. Not the most expensive paper, but I don't usually have feathering like that on most of my pens. So what this is going to be is a bit of a mess. And it's not consistent. Like, there we go. You're seeing it. It's just kind of like, I don't feel like I can depend that this nib is going to make a mark every time I tell it to make a mark, particularly if you're moving kind of quick. Even as I'm talking about it, I'm noticing, like, when I want to say, oh, the nib is inconsistent, there it goes. When I want to say the nib is inconsistent, it's consistent. And when I want to say, oh, look, it's being very consistent, then it'll stop being consistent. I mean, one thing's for sure, if you like putting a lot of ink on the paper, which can be a really fun thing, this will definitely do that. And you can do, various line weights by just shifting your angle. So that's fun, but some things only appear to be fun, and then when you get them, they are not that fun. Like my experience when I tried sports as a kid. More about my trauma at another time. But for now, let's talk pens. So I do feel like I'm having to block myself into certain angles and certain styles of drawing. That is so much ink right there. Just because I'm wanting to get the line that I want. And this pen is doing what it wants. And I can't guarantee that I'll even get a full line. And once again, as I'm talking about the inconsistency, the pen's being very consistent. And then it just skipped 3 times in a row. I feel like this pen is gaslighting me. I don't know. Anyway, it's not a healthy relationship. I'll say that for sure. This is going to be interesting to draw with this pen. I'm not looking forward to doing a full drawing with it. I bought another pen, and I'm going to start recording the video for that pen right after this one, just to make myself feel better about having to use this pen. This would be, honestly, not a bad pen, similar to the one that I reviewed last week. If you liked kind of sketchy, scribbly lines and kind of being a little bit spontaneous with how you put them down, this could be kind of fun. But it's the same thing as the other pen that I reviewed recently that I knew I would get a lot of backlash on because it's a popular pen. The Noodler's fountain pens. If you want to see that video, it's on this channel. This one, I don't think anybody cares about it. Just so you note, I made that about 2 or 3 minutes ago. It's still super wet. And my hands are a mess. This pen is not consistent. It's too wet for me, and it also has a lot of bad line problems. Oh, and by the way, reverse writing with a stub nib goes exactly how you think it would go if you don't have one. There's no reason to do that. You can get, again, like I said, you can get this thinner line like this. It's a very hard thing to do because you can't put that at a 45-degree angle. You have to be exactly flat. So I don't know that stub nibs are great for drawing. Let me know if you disagree in the comments. We're going to try and have a little bit of fun with this pen. So I'm going on vacation in a couple of weeks, and don't worry, I'll continue to post very inconsistently on this channel. Nothing has changed in that sense. I like going on vacation. I'm going to spend some time with my family, which is great. I love my family, but I'll be relaxed for maybe 45 minutes of the 4 days that I'll be gone because I just don't really know how to relax. Here's a true story about me. Every year at Thanksgiving and Christmas, I make a spreadsheet and I make members of my family fill in information on that spreadsheet, like when they're coming in, when they're going, what room they're going to stay in, because we host at my home. And I bother them until they fill it in. I think it's pretty unpopular, but it helps me to relax just to know all of the information. I think they find it valuable too, but nobody ever wants to fill in information on my spreadsheet. So I got to call them up and be like, so when are you coming in? And they're, while I'm talking to them, like, you're filling in the spreadsheet, aren't you? Yes, I am. So just like my zero chill during vacation, this pen
also had zero chill while I was drawing with it. The experience was exactly what I expected it would be. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that weird personal story and my drawing.
These are the last things I have to say about this pen, and I'll be honest, probably the last time that I'm going to use this pen, because in all seriousness, it's not an enjoyable experience. I will call out the thing that some people are probably screaming at me in the comments right now, that yes, a stub nib is not necessarily meant to be a pen for drawing. However, I've gotten lots of other pen nib styles that are not necessarily for drawing that I've appreciated and enjoyed very much. This one's not it for me. The flow is super wet to skippy. It's really odd to have a pen with super wet flow that also skips. So I don't know what's going on with the flow there. It's not an enjoyable experience to hold. It doesn't feel very good. It's light, cheap plastic. And on top of that, and you may have noticed during the drawing, I was having to change my angle all the time to get it just the right point. So unlike other pens, of course, there are always an angle that you can't draw with certain fountain pens. But this one seemed to be, there were two angles where you could draw and everything else didn't make lines at all. So yeah, I would say if you're looking for a great fountain pen for art, you maybe want to avoid this one. To be fair, the Rotring Art Pen line has other nibs that are not stub nibs. I'm only saying this so that someone won't tell me that I forgot it in the comments. I still think there's a lot of pens at a much cheaper price point. Even in the US, I think this pen retails for around $20, $25. For that amount of money, you could get a fantastic pen that draws really well, writes really well, does all the things. Highly recommend the Muji pen, by the way. There's a video for that on this channel. If you appreciate this art talk, if you appreciate learning about different kinds of fountain pens, please subscribe to this channel. Please leave a like, send a comment down below about a pen you regret purchasing, or if you've had a really great experience with a stub nib, I'd love to redeem that experience for myself. Let me know what stub nib I should try out in the comments, all right? That does it for this video. Please take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.